I have a book, but I don't know that it registers. Like when I first started therapy, I knew I wanted to write a book, but
Yeah.
I told my therapist, like, I'll never publish a book until my mom dies. I won't be able to say it all. And so
Wow.
the fact that I was able to publish it is kind of a big deal.
That is not kind of, that
It's
is.
kind of a big deal.
It's a major big deal. Good for you and congratulations.
Thank you.
So you said it took you 2 years to get to the point where you could confidently say no. Do you feel like that trickled into other relationships? Like, were you able to say no to your sons?
It is still a practice. I think with each relationship, the dynamic is different. So, learning to use my voice in different areas of my life has been a work in progress. I will say I'm better at setting boundaries with my husband, and not even boundary. Like sometimes it's like saying what you really think. How do you have a conversation with compassion and confidence and not sound like either you're too bitchy? Am I allowed to say that?
Oh,
Yeah.
go for it.
All right.
Yeah. Pirates here.
A lot of times, especially women, if you say it like this, you're going to sound like a bitch. And if you say it like this, you're going to sound like a doormat. And like, I never was able to find that balance for myself personally. And so a lot of times I just didn't say anything. And so learning how to use my voice and feel confident, even though I'm still not perfect, like I say dumb things sometimes.
Who doesn't?
But to be able to do that. And so I feel a little bit more free to make mistakes,
Mm,
knowing that good enough is good enough, that kind of thing.
yes. I know
So,
for me, I used to feel like having boundaries and saying no is going to be such a restriction in my friendships and my family dynamics. But the more I've practiced it, the more I feel so much autonomy
yeah,
over my life. Like, wait a minute. And now, because I've been doing it for so long, other people are
right,
finally getting into it. Like, hey, no, you can't call Nikki after 7. You can't
right,
go over to Nikki's house after a certain other day.
mhm,
Like, I love that, but it
right.
takes practice.
It does. And we were talking about like, when did I get in the groove of
Yeah.
boundaries? There was a period of time where I would break down the boundary and go do whatever I said I wasn't going to do. Right. There was
Right.
that period. And then there was the period of time where I would sit at home and my husband would just sit next to me and I would be crying, being like, should I go? Should I not go? Should I do? It'll only take a minute because she's right there. And it's like, no, this is part of the boundary setting. You have to hold this boundary. And we would go through what would make me break it down, like what would constitute a reason. I would literally sometimes have to be physically held, like, it's okay, you're not going, it's okay. And so there was that period. And then after that, it got to be where I felt more comfortable knowing that I was making the right decision. And I think that's another thing with caregiving boundaries. Every day was a different decision. Cause like I said, you can't just blanket say, I'm never going over there after 9 o'clock. But every time I made that decision, it got faster. I didn't have to go back and forth with myself for an hour. It's like, just go over, it'll be over, It's like, no, this is what you need to be doing. So I got better at that. So it was more of like, I can make a split second decision whether or not this is necessary as part of my role as a caregiver or daughter. Yes or no, moving on. And so there were stages of it. Like, that's not even the big boundary. The big boundary I was building up to, which is something I knew was coming, my mom was avoiding, was that my mom was not going to be able to stay in her home. The likelihood of my mom being able to live out her days in her home, it was getting to be non-existent. And everyone was seeing it but her. When it came to having that conversation, I had built up the tolerance, the resilience to be able to say with confidence, this is why I think this is an important decision, why I think this is an important choice. This is why I think this is necessary for your goals. That was the decision for which I went into therapy. And then I got the opportunity to practice with all these other boundaries that I was setting on a daily basis.
So those practices come in handy. You said so many powerful things, but I want to get back to what you were talking about with compassion and confidence. In that example you gave with your husband and how he had to physically hold you and just make space for your boundary, which is to not go by mom right now. You said no, so just stick with the no. I saw this TikTok video of this father and he was like cheering his baby on because the baby had just stood up and started to walk. And I was like, oh my God, the baby's walking. But then the baby fell. But the father started cheering even louder. And I love that it's similar to what your husband did. He celebrated you while he was holding you down. he was actually affirming your boundary, telling
Yeah.
you, congratulations, this is the right thing for you.
Right.
And I'm going to be here to stand and hold space for you.
Right.
And I love that. That's compassion.
Yeah.
And then that built the confidence in you because
Yeah.
he showed compassion.
Yeah. I mean, it was very meaningful to me at the time. I've been fortunate. I know not everybody has that type of support from their spouses or their friends. I was talking with a caregiver the other day, and her friends are like, well, can't your mom just text you? And she's like, well, she hasn't been able to move from her neck down. And you know what I mean? Like, so no, she can't. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have the support or understanding from people around them. So I feel very blessed, but I think that's why podcasts and online community is so important, because when you don't have anybody else, you have Nikki and T and Jeanette and these people in the world that are there with you saying, yes, you can. Yes, you are worthy of saying no once in a while. And Nikki, you've talked about this before. You talk about this so well in your content. Like, you are worthy of the, give yourself the care, give yourself what you need, light that candle. You're really good at that. And I think one of the things that is so important to let people know is, even if you were not a caregiver, you still should take care of yourself. Some of the other caregiver spaces, the people over at Negative Space, I think they say this too, but like that whole idea of like, take care of yourself so you can take care of others. You can't pour from an empty cup, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, so what you're saying is I only need to fill my cup so I can dump it out for other people. Can't I just hold a full cup for a little bit of time? Can't I just be full, even if it's just for a minute? I know that you and I've talked about this. If your cup is broken, which that's like the therapy piece for me, you can pour into it all the time. You can do all the self-care. You can get the massages and the pedicures and the breathe in your essential oils and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And it's not going to matter if you have these issues that need to be tended to in a different way.
Exactly. If your cup is broken, I think that you should be pouring from your overflow. I think you should fill that cup up until it starts the spillage. And from that spillage, that's where you can share and give.
Right. Exactly.
I have so much that I need to.
I was going to say, come on, T, bring it.
I know, right? Come on, T.
This is just a lot. I mean, a lot of the things you said at the beginning about the codependencies, the big one for me was your relationship with your parents now. And if you expect it to be any different, it's not going to. That was a big one for me, because that's exactly what happened to my ex-husband and his family when we found out that his father wasn't doing well. He had back surgery and his healing was not healing. It had been like a year, and he had some back issues too, so he knew kind of what was gonna happen. So we're like, yeah, we need to go and help. I mean, I knew their relationship, but I didn't really know until we got there, and it was not good. And it kind of got worse. Everything you said was right, and he didn't do that healing that he needed to do before he got there, to set the boundaries that he needed to. Yeah. And it just got worse, which is unfortunate for him.
And this is one of the things that I'm hoping that my platform does, is to let people know that, like, hey, I'm not saying if your family was dysfunctional, you shouldn't take care of your parents. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have a choice at what caregiving looks like for you and what is acceptable. And it's okay to set boundaries to protect your own peace and your own life that you have now. I'm in a group chat type situation with some other caregivers that are in a similar situation where they're like, yeah, my situation with my parents not so great. And now it's like even worse. One of the things that I had to do with my mom, because like she was making it very clear at different times, no, like I sacrifice for you. Now it's time for you to sacrifice for me. You owe me kind of attitude. That hurt. And before it hurt though, I thought, you're right. And I just jumped right in. What I go back to all the time is my mom was doing what was necessary for her. She was using the coping skills that she needed because she was afraid of dying or afraid of being put in a home or afraid of whatever. So she was grasping at any straw. And if that meant she had to throw a little guilt my way, that's what she was doing for her. But I do believe in my mom's case, in my relationship with my mom, that if she had been in her whole healed self, that what she would want for me is for me to love my children well and to be there for them in ways that she tried to be there for me. And that she would want me to be present in my marriage in a way that was better than she was able to do in her relationships. I think that's what she really wants. Yeah, even though at the time she's saying, I don't care what everybody else needs. I need you. Because if I don't get you, then all this bad stuff that I'm really afraid of is going to happen.
And Jeanette, that's why it's so incredible to see the growth and to hear it from you, your emotional presence and intelligence when it comes to your mom, and how you're able to still extend grace to her and compassion, to see beyond her hurt and to kind of re-image her as a healed version. What would the healed version of my mom want and say to me? And I love that you are reflecting that in your own healed space and navigating your life and the relationships that you have from that healed space. That takes a lot. That took time. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a work in progress. Like, I'm still in the work. I had to come to that. Like, we can recognize our family's faults and include ourselves in that. Like, we're all part of it. You know, it's not like we're the only perfect people in our family. Everybody else is a whack job. Like, that's not it. You know, we're all crazy pants. But like, we can see like, okay, this is, you know, everybody was working with the tools they had at the time. Sometimes that included alcohol in an inappropriate way, you know, or whatever, right? Like, there's that. And we can have grace for that, but that doesn't mean that we have to accommodate and we have to take responsibility for the consequences.
I agree with that 100%, Jeanette. I feel like just because someone is responding, whether that be from a trauma response or just from how they practice their own lack of boundaries, does not mean that we can't still show up with grace for them, but it also doesn't mean that we can't keep them accountable. When someone does something wrong, there is a repercussion behind that. I recall somebody saying, well, you know, my person has this disease, so that's why it's okay if they scream at me and call me names. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You got to hold them accountable. Yeah, they might be responding from a trauma or whatever. Have a conversation if possible. Ask them, are you hurt? Are you safe? What's happening right now? Talk to me. Or give yourself some breathing room and come back at it again if possible. But they should still be accountable for doing something wrong.
Well, and that's like one of those boundary opportunities, right? It's like, listen, if you need to yell and scream, if that makes you feel better, that's fine. But I'm not going to be in the room. So if that starts, I'm going to leave. It's not telling like, don't you scream when I'm in the room.
Right.
You just say, I'm not going to be in the room.
And I like that because when you say that, that makes me think that you are meeting them where they are. Because if they are at a space where they can't hear the words in their heated moment about you saying, don't talk to me like that, don't yell at me like that, they can't hear that in that moment. Okay, fine. Guess what? You're going to see these feet leave. I'm out of here. I will walk. That's my boundary. I respect it or not, I'm out. And you need to do that sometimes. And that is hard as well, but still keep them accountable, because I bet you one thing, people always, no matter what is happening, they remember energy. They remember, oh, wait, you can't play with Jeanette because she don't play, she will leave. And we want her here. So let's just be on good behavior. You know, they remember that.
Yeah.
It's validating those people's experiences, I feel like, as well. Like, you're validating them and whatever they're going through. I think that's one of the things I'm practicing or continuing to practice, is having empathy. I can see the things that are going on. I can see you're possibly going there, even though I don't like that, but I'm going to validate how I'm feeling about it. And either we'll come to an agreement or not, but we'll both acknowledge how we're feeling and go from there.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that the caregiver space spends a lot of time talking about, boundaries is one of them.
Definitely.
Another thing that they talk about a lot is the concept of self-care and this focus of self-care. I think a lot of times, a lot of caregivers are like, if somebody comes at me with self-care one more time,
fix your mouth. Word to tell me to practice self-care one more time, I'm gonna go off. Okay.
I remember when I was doing, like, I had a business coach and they were like, you need to interview 100 caregivers and see what they need. So I did it. And one caregiver said, if someone else tells me to take care of myself, I'm going to punch them in the throat. And that has been like one of the guiding principles of my business.
Yeah.
And which is interesting because, of course, I'm the self-caregiver is my thing, right? But I had to learn that is self-care is necessary, but we have to stop acting like what we mean when we say self-care is all of those extra things. Because no, you don't have time to go get a manicure and a pedicure all the time. You don't have time to get a massage. You can't sleep 10 hours, but that's not what I'm talking about.
That's not what I'm talking about. What are you talking about? Let's do specifics. Go ahead, Jeanette.
I don't know what your high school situation was like, but we learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's the pyramid, and the bottom of the pyramid is your basic needs. You need air, you need food, you need water, you need shelter, essentially. You know, it's like something like that. It's like, and I ask every caregiver that I talk to that's like, I I can't, I don't have time for self-care. I'm like, are you getting enough to eat, drink? Are you able to sleep in a safe environment? Like, do you feel safe in your own home? Those are the basics. And a lot of times they're trying to go get a pedicure and they haven't slept more than 3 hours in 4 years.
Exactly. It's not sustainable.
It's like, listen, I'm all for
Priorities.
you. Listen, my nails are done right now. Okay. I got it. I'm not anti-manicure. What I'm saying is none of that other stuff, anything that you want to call self-care, it will not work if it's not what you need and you don't think you deserve it.
There you go. If you don't think that you deserve
that last one,
it was like, you gotta unpack that. You gotta unpack that, Jeanette. That was very cramped in there. What does it mean?
Okay. In the height of my burnout, and I don't even like to call it burnout because I was burnt down. I was crumbled on the ground. I was just ashes right now. It was just nasty. I was just nothing. Felt like I couldn't even lift my head up in the world. I was a shell. I was a vapor through the universe. I just did not feel like I existed at all.
Wow.
I was exercising 2 hours a day. I was in a Bible study. I was writing on a gratitude journal. I was getting my nails done. I was getting massages. I was eating my appropriate fruits and veggies and proteins.
Yeah.
Okay. None of it worked. I was still exhausted. I still felt like crap. I was burned out. Every Google search I did told me about self-care. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm doing all that. The reason it didn't work is because it wasn't what I needed. I needed less working out, more sleep, and I didn't think I deserved it. So I was going to that yoga class, or I was going to that massage. And the whole time I'm like, should I turn my phone off? Should I not turn my phone off? If I turn my phone off, what's going to happen? What if somebody needs me? What can possibly happen? Okay, it's an hour. What can possibly happen in an hour? Should you check in with everybody first? Here, text your mom, text your sons, text your husband. Okay, tell your mom one more time you're going to be out of pocket for like an hour. Is okay? Okay. And then I'm laying there and all that's in my brain the whole time. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I felt like I didn't deserve to just be like, they're going to have to need somebody else for 60 minutes.
You better say it with your chest. Go ahead, right here. Say it there.
When I started addressing self-care like that and saying, none of this other stuff matters. It's all fun. It's all great. Please, if you're listening to this and someone you know is a caregiver and they have a birthday or an event coming up, please give them a free gift certificate to a pedicure or massage. I'm not saying don't do that, but that is not what is going to, like you said, sustain somebody through this roller coaster journey.
Yeah.
Hill climb.
Valley low. Okay.
Yeah. Like whatever.
Marathon.
Yeah. I think that's really something that needs to be more understood, especially in the caregiver space.
You're right. Since the dawn of social media, there are certain things that are popular or trending, right? And pedicure, manicure, facials, those are trending. But what is sustainable? Maybe sustainable is getting peppermint tea because it helps to regulate your glucose levels and to calm your anxiety. Maybe it's taking the magnesium because that helps to clear the brain fog. What's sustainable self-care looking like? And that's what we need to implement, whether you're a caregiver or not.
And chances are it's not something that you have to get like a subscription to that's going to send you something every month.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be stressful. I think that was one thing that seemed like everything. It's like manicure should not be stressful. Like, oh, can I get in? Oh, can I make it in the next 6 weeks? And oh, can I keep this up? And the same with your gym 2 hours. My gosh. I mean,
a long time. And it's
a long time.
It's
great stress reliever. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't serving, like I was just burning myself out before the sun rose.
But again, I think maybe also because of what was trending, like go to the gym, go get the manicures. Those things are trending. Everybody knows that when you look up self-care, though, that's what comes up. Gym life and also manicures, right? So, but what about those sustainable self-care though?
Right.
What about doing the deep conditioning at home while you are prepping the meds for your loved one? Like something like that is going to make sense for your lifestyle that you can repeat every day if needed.
Putting my feet up, that's one of my favorite ones right now. Just literally putting my feet up on the couch or even higher, like sitting down, yes, but like putting your feet up.
Yeah.
Like a little
good
thing.
for circulation, good for, and you think about that when it comes to self-care because your cortisol levels affect so much, your gut health affects so much. So what are those things that are going to help you along the way of this journey?
The whole nervous system. Everybody's talking about that now. Some people know what they're talking about. Some people do not.
That's right.
But I will say the one thing that I learned that was like a big like brr to me. I hope y'all love my sound effects. I hope they become sound effects. I think you should just use Jeanette sound effects like as regular.
Where can we get a meme to match the sound?
But like, okay, so every caregiver knows they are in fight or flight. We talk about it all the time. I'm in fight or flight. I'm in stress mode. I'm blah, blah, blah. And we talked about that when we were recording the main podcast. This idea of like, yes, your body is actually, you don't need to try to not be in fight or flight. You want your body to go into fight or flight mode because the reason it's doing that is because you need some stuff to get out, but we cannot live there, right?
No.
And the reason we cannot live there is because when your body is in fight or flight mode, if you think about, I always think about like an animal. It's got some choices. Here comes the predator.
Oh.
I'm the prey.
Oh no.
Okay. I need to run. I need to fight. I need to freeze. Or I need to like making Linka winky faces.
Oh,
like that's fawning. We need to flirt. Okay, I don't know. And usually an animal is going to run or they're going to freeze. Chances are they're not going to try to fight. Sometimes they do. But what happens is your body goes, okay, we're going to die if we don't figure out the situation. So it starts shutting down all the systems that your body will not need in the next 60 seconds if you're dead. The one thing that your body is not going to need to do if you're dead in a minute is digest your food.
Ooh.
So your digestion shuts down. So the opposite of fight or flight is rest and digest.
Ooh, that's a mic drop. Stop it. So you're getting,
and I didn't even make that one up. That's like a legit psychological thing, like that's in like journals and whatnot. So if your gut health is in the crapper and you're in constant chaos mode, chances are your digestion is going to be messed up until you can learn to get out of crisis mode. That's what the regulation is. It's not never go into crisis mode. As caregiver, you are going to have to go into crisis mode because it's going to hit the fan at some point, probably at midnight, and you're going to be driving to the ER. You got to be able to wake up and you got to get there.
Yep.
And there is the origin story of my fupa. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So that is why, so like, if you're like, my gut health, I need to like drink this other, like, that'll probably help the symptoms right this second, but chances are your gut health is going to get a lot better when your body knows, yes, I'm in a safe space. My digestion can turn back on now so that it can actually digest my food. It also helps if we actually chew our food.
Don't rush.
Which I was notorious for not.
That's very caregiver coded.
Yeah.
That's very caregiver coded.
You know, you're swallowing you take a bite of a sandwich and you're swallowing that whole bite. You're not even chewing it.
What did I just eat? Did I eat?
Will it fix every digestive gut problem? No. Sometimes we got to take medicine. I got vitamins in my cabinet. I lived in pain for 20 years and it got better when I learned to not live in a state of anxiety where I was just waiting for the next horrible phone call.
That is so relatable. Oh my God.
It's really is. Self-awareness that I think is really important that we all need to have. We're so good at doing it for our loved ones. We can see when things are about to go down, whatever it is. Oh, they're dehydrated. Oh, they need to eat. Oh, they're getting hangry. Whatever it is, it's like we need to be able to do that for ourselves so that we could act accordingly.
Oh my God. So T, the fact that you said that about self-awareness, like you're right. I feel like I could do that hands down. Like, I got this. But I was in bed and I was rubbing my feet together. Do you ever do that? I did not realize that I was actually self-soothing because I was feeling anxious about the next day. I was doing it so much, my breathing was slowing down. I'm actually nervous and I'm trying to control my nervous system, regulating it through this brushing of my feet. Wild. The little things.
Well, what's interesting is like in that same like scenario, the fight or flight scenario, you can go like National Geographic YouTube video or whatever. There's images of animals who have chosen to freeze or play dead. And the lion comes by. You're just looking at what you think is a dead animal. And then it jumps up. And before it goes about its day, it shakes. It gets everything out. Then it can go frolic and do its stuff. To your point, Nikki, there has to be some sort of movement because your body has been coursing.
Yeah.
With adrenaline. Animal's body is like systems have shut down or lowered. So that movement is so important.
There's so many key things with that. And I can akin it to some things that maybe might be similar to a care journey. Like when you're going to the doctor appointment with your loved one, sometimes, and I know this is true for my Gemini, my dad, he's a Gemini, and we call him the Gemini.
Oh, I love
So
it.
anyway, with the Gemini, like he'll go to his doctor appointments and the doctor will be like, how did you commute here? And the reason why he's asking that is because his blood pressure is higher, you know, like his breathing, and he's sweating, and everything is just speeded up a little bit more. But when he's sitting down with the doctor, he's cool as a cucumber, like I'm good. But it's that fight or flight as well. You know, you're anxious because do you have your mask on? Why are they looking at me like that? Do I need my hand sanitizer? Oh, fuck, I forgot it. You know, it's all these things that are coming up, but it's the way to self-soothe, shaking it off, tapping, or rubbing your hands together, or maybe even wearing peppermint oil.
It seems like it's going back to basics, getting back to your senses, using your senses.
Another thing I think about with all of the self-care stuff that's out there, right? Like you just mentioned peppermint tea, peppermint oil, you know, candles. I could start a candle store with all the candles I have in my house. So I don't know if you know about the caregiver candle, and this one has peppermint, lavender, vanilla. They're by caregivers for caregivers. But anyway, it's called the Caregiver Candle Company. I mentioned, I think before, I went through this whole experience with my body image and I went into therapy. And one of the things I learned in my recovery efforts is you learn tools to help you in your recovery. Sometimes you write down what you're eating, and other times writing down what you're eating is a complete nightmare and you don't want to do that. So it's a tool that you have in your toolbox, but you don't always use it. Okay. So you build a toolbox that has all these tools. That is the same way with self-care for any person, right? So with a caregiver, especially, you're going to have a lot of different tools in that box, but you do not have to use all of them at the same time. So while, you know, we were talking about exercise is great, you should exercise is fantastic, all those things. However, you do not have to exercise every day. That tool is not always available to you. It's not always the right tool for the moment.
Right.
I have candles out the wazoo because there was a period of time where if I was in a room, a candle was lit, period, end of story. Did not go into a room without lighting a candle. I needed my candle. So for a while there, everyone was like, oh, Jeanette's in her candle phase. Got to get candles. But now I don't want to leave the candle on by mistake. So now I'm like more like, am I in a room long enough to light a candle? So I don't always light a candle, but I still have candles. I'm sure there's going to be a period of time where I'm like, I feel like a candle today. To take my candle out and light it. It's fine. The same thing happens with the different types of care. And it's really important that we have a toolbox. And so we try different things and we go, like I'm trying tennis right now. I don't know if I'm going to start playing tennis forever, but I'm going to try it. And then if I like it, when I'm in need of something tennis-like, cardio, or maybe it's being in a class with other people because that's good for me, then I may be like, oh, I'm going to do tennis right now because that serves me. I have the time. It meets a need. I'm going to do that. The tool has to fit the moment. So we were talking about emergency plans, for example, for caregiving. I also have an emergency self-care plan. So like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for my self-care when I'm spending 24/7 in the ICU room when she's on the ventilator? I'm still going to do self-care, but you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to get up and run 4 miles. Why? Because I probably haven't slept. So I'm going to walk every 30 minutes around the ICU floor. I'm going to drink X amount of water every hour. When somebody comes and offers to stay, I'm going to go home and take a nap.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. I have an emergency plan to get me through that crisis mode, but I'm still not forgetting that I'm a person and that I'm in need of the basics. Food, you know,
water, shelter.
Water.
Yeah, exactly that. See, and that's what I'm saying. It needs to make sense for your lifestyle. Whatever it is right now currently happening, are you always having to go to the hospital for your loved one? Then maybe the emergency self-care tool that's in the toolkit needs to come out. Maybe you're at the point of the journey where you are just managing your loved one's care. Okay, so 4 hours at the gym, if that's your jam, go ahead, go on.
Right, exactly.
And that's so smart. You know what, Jeanette? That's really key to having freedom and still having fun. You can have freedom with this toolbox. You can still have fun. You're re-exploring things that work right now. Maybe it didn't work to sit down and do a facial. Okay. Right. Maybe it does work to have the peppermint tea and light the candle, listen to the audio book. Yeah, maybe.
Hey, I have a friend, her self-care is putting on eyelashes.
Oh my God, that used to be my thing for a minute.
She loves to do her eyelashes.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know it's dumb. I know it's not, it's not giving me all the sleep I need, blah, blah, blah. It's not the gym, but this is what I like to do. And it's what I'm going to do. And I think that's fine too. Like, find what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And if it is putting on eyelashes, go for it.
Absolutely. You know, when you dress up, you feel good. And you're subconsciously telling yourself, I'm getting ready for the day, whatever the day holds. If you just kept your pajamas on all day and didn't make your bed, you're automatically sending yourself a message. But when you take the time to make the bed, change your clothes, put on the eyelashes or get the gloss, whatever, you are again giving yourself a message like, we about to crush it today. Let's go.
Well, I did brush my eyebrows today.
You better go ahead and do it. You better do it. Okay.
And they look gorgeous.
We'd love to see
they are wild if I don't brush them. I got to put them in their place.
Well, at least you got them. I got to create them. I ain't got none. Okay?
Oh, well, I tried to get rid of mine because I did live through the 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s. So I had these things.
Real small.
Those Madonna eyebrows, all the rage.
I was in a wedding once and I went to, everybody was having their makeup done. And the makeup artist goes, who does your eyebrows? And I said, me. And she goes, stop.
You know what? Haters are going to hate.
Yeah. And she was like, you need to. And she was right. Because like, they were the paper thing. And part of it, listen, this is the after hours, right?
Yes.
Y'all can cut this if you need it. This was in my, stoner phase.
Very nice.
So I think what I was doing that was causing the main problem was that I was, I was hitting it and then I was trying to tweeze.
Oh no.
Not in the right. And so then, you're like, it's a little uneven.
Oh no, Jeanette, you lived your life.
I did, but my eyebrows suffered for it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We lived our lives, didn't we?
Yes.
It was good. A time was had.
It was. But yeah, that was my.
That is funny. Yeah, that's not a good combination, the stoner, and let's just do it with the eyebrows.
How creative we get when we're feeling ourselves and
Very.
I should have just been like drawing or something, but no, I was just tweezing away, just tweeze.
Golly.
I'm going to try to find a picture just for y'all.
Oh my God, I want to see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will see you guys.